because I saved my 100 for all these other players, and he was one of the guys. I'm like, I should just bid on him, but I'm guessing he
I
would bid
thought
him
about
up.
it. Yeah, he would have stayed on the board and went for a lot of money. I think like a
Yeah,
lot more money. I mean, if Bo Nix is in a world of $450 and Penix is 90, Penix
yeah.
should be at least a couple $100, if not more.
It's ridiculous.
This shit's ridiculous. We'll talk about the Nico extension at the top. That's really all there is for news. So, all right, I'll jump right in then. Text. He's checking the auction.
No, I'm
Object
actually.
estimate $38.
We are live, and I'm sending all the
I know we're live.
stuff.
We're doing live.
We're doing it live.
All right, give me a few seconds. We'll jump in. Welcome back to the Dynasty Happy Hour, episode 401, because last week was 400. So we are back this week. It's a hump day. We're on a Wednesday. I know our schedule's been a little weird, but you know what? We do
It's
what
gonna
we
get
do.
weirder.
It's going to get weirder. We're here every single week. Make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube if you're watching us there. If you're joining us on Facebook, thank you for joining us. Make sure you want to leave some comments, have a question while we're broadcasting. We can get to it as we go. Not a problem. We're always down to do that. As this is kind of the dead season, right? Tyler and I are in our last rookie auction of the season, and then I'm done with rookie drafts. So it's been a very interesting because the last two for the season for me are the only two I have in the auction format. So it's been an interesting couple of rookie auctions here. Been able to scrape some value. I've seen some crazy prices go and some weird things happen, which, I'm here for the unpredictable. It's always fun. So this week we are going to talk a little bit of news. There isn't much. And then Tyler is going to run our Hot or Not segment. Smash or pass, if you will. Isn't that what the old Facebook Mark Zuckerberg did? Was
Smash Hot or
pass?
Not was the one I knew where it's like you go through and like you could click on a range of 1 to 10, hot or not. So I know we usually have Shane on, but we don't this year due to
Imagine
scheduling.
how quickly that would get canceled nowadays. They would come out and people would be like, nope, and then like an hour later it'd be down because everyone's so sensitive about everything.
It would definitely be rough. We lived in a different time.
And it was a beautiful time. I hate the overly sensitive. Everyone handles everything with kid gloves, and it's not my style. So, but hey, to each their own. But grow a backbone.
Somebody who doesn't have a filter, as you know, Doug. When I say jokes or anything, I miss that day and age.
Yeah, that's why I love not to sidebar too far, but that's why I love the Tom Brady roast, because that brought back that type of humor and no one got canceled. And a lot of people really embraced it, because I think we need more stuff like that in life to get us by, instead of everyone, clutching their pearls and not saying anything because they don't want to offend anyone. And just tell it like it is. So for me, I love the Tom Brady roast for that reason. It brought back some of that real comedy. You should never cancel a comedian because they're making jokes. Now, if they do something in real life that's not a joke, not on stage, then okay, then yeah, they might be questionable. But if it's on stage and it's a joke, just freaking laugh. Like if it's funny, laugh. Don't be afraid to.
Back in our day, Daniel Tosh was the one that kind of was border, like the edge.
He toed the line.
Yeah. And he said that true comedy is saying things that people are too scared to say, because that's what makes it funny. Like that.
100%.
We all think things like that, and we kind of chuckle and like, oh, that'd be funny, but we're all too scared to say it. And he's like, I'm here because I say it, and that's kind of what makes it funny. Like Jeselnik, I think his name is.
He's so good.
Yeah,
I'm so mad I missed him in Providence. Oh,
he is another one of those guys that just says things that we all sit at home and read and laugh, because you have to laugh.
100%. I love Anthony Jeselnik. I got to catch him next time he's around. I had a show scheduled, and then it got canceled because he got sick. And then the reschedule is away while I was in New York for the draft. So I was like, damn it, I'll catch him next time. So let's see. Damon says, both of you are getting a yes as a hot for sure. The Ginger Fire and the Silver Fox. Shout out to Damon.
Salt and cayenne over here.
The beautiful mix. Let's get into some news.
Salt and cayenne? No? Okay.
I'm not a cayenne guy.
Would you like
Cheyenne. To? Possibly you.
Possibly you. Call this number. Like
Dial
those
me now.
late night infomercials.
Call me now. I saw a documentary on Cleo on HBO. Which she'd call
Oh
me
God.
now. I'll tell you a fortune. Yeah, that was a whole another time to be alive.
Yeah.
That's all I can say. What a time! What a time! Let's get into some news. We did have a big signing extension that has some fantasy impact this week. Out of nowhere, the Houston Texans extend Nico Collins and give him over $50 million guaranteed and $24 million annually. To me, all this means is that Stephon Diggs is there for a year and then he's gone. They're trying to win now with what they've got. They are building the future around Nico Collins and then obviously Tank Dell, who's a second year. So he's there for at least another 3. So that's going to be the future. It's going to be Stroud, Collins, Dell. For Diggs, it's going to be interesting for fantasy this year how they split that up. But for me, Diggs is just a 1-year guy, and I don't think he comes back after that. We saw Nico Collins get sold in an auction recently for $240, which, to put that in perspective, Brian Thomas, Xavier Worthy went for around $200. I don't mind that price for Nico, and it happened like hours before his extension. So
Yeah,
I think if anything,
it
he
was
probably
probably the
gained
best
value
timing.
after that.
The best timing
Yeah,
I
it
think
really
I've
was.
seen. And all week this week, a good friend of ours, Izzy, we were talking trades for Drake London and stuff, and he was throwing Nico at me. And in my head, I'm like, if he's with the Texans, Drake London and Nico could be neck and neck. Like they could be
For sure.
those guys that are like, okay, you could pick and choose because Nico had a breakout season. The issue with him was long term. That's great. Like he's locked in with Stroud, and now the only other hurdle he's got to do is injury because that he's been an injury type player his whole career, even in college. And if he can do that, like this is a top 12 receiver you could probably get for, well, could have gotten, but now you're still probably looking at, I would say 15 to 20 range, wide receiver 15 to 20 range. And if you have a late first and you are still competing, I think he's a great trade target. Like say you don't like Brian Thomas or you're kind of iffy on Worthy, like, hey, give your pickup for Nico because that is production from an elite quarterback.
Yeah, and the Texans are doing this smart because they extend Nico 3 years. So by the time Stroud's deal is up, Nico's deal will be up too. So they're not going to have to pay both of them. But they have that window open for the next few years, which is just really smart, front office.
Yeah.
And
Nico will be 29 at that point too.
And Nick Cesario from the Patriots, he's doing a really nice job over there with Houston with what they're doing. So shout out to that. And it was nice to see
A year
Nico.
ago, we thought they were going to be terrible. Like, just think of that. A year ago, we thought Houston was just
all it takes sometimes is one draft, and you hit that quarterback, and you hit on a couple other players, and look, boom, now they're there. Their defense should be better. Their offense is going to be one of the best in the league, I think. So yeah, shout out to the Texans, really recovering from the Deshaun Watson era. It only took a few years, which isn't bad when you think about it, to go from a franchise quarterback. A lot of times that can sink a franchise. Look at the Patriots. Mac Jones didn't work out. Now they've got Drake May. Their reset button could be 5 years past Tom Brady. So the Texans did a nice job of getting that thing turned around. That's it. That's about it for news. I did want to go to shout out to our sponsor, Underdog. Use code DHH on underdog.com today. Can download it through all the Play stores and App stores and all that jazz. But they've got a lot of cool stuff going on for Best Ball Mania. They just had the Pomeranian that was up, but that closed out really quickly. So, there's a lot of best ball activity out there. Even JJ Zacharyson is now a best ball bro. I was listening to his podcast earlier because I love all the JJ stuff. You can actually get a lot of knowledge listening to best ball podcasts about Dynasty. There's a lot of crossover. So don't be like, ooh, it's best ball, I don't want to listen to that. There's actually some really good nuggets in there. So, and I listen to anything that JJ does. He's one of my favorite analysts in the space. But yeah, he's doing a ton of stuff on Underdog, and you should too. And use code DHH today, and they'll match up to $100. You can enter Best Ball Mania, use it for prop betting. There's the NBA Finals are starting next Thursday. It looks like it's going to be Celtics Mavericks, maybe. I know, Tyler, you don't want to hear that, but NHL is still in full swing. Baseball, yawn, is still going. So yeah, lots of different ways to play on underdog.com. Code DHH, get you that $100 matched right away. All right, Tyler, I want to know who's hot and who's not.
All right. So this game we're going to play is I'm going to mention a rookie's overall ADP for startup. And you're going to, and I'm going to name same positions around him value wise. And you're going to say, is it hot? Are you not hot for
Okay.
this ADP? Usually before, if you've listened to past episodes, we do Tinder and it's swipe left or right. So we are bringing a modern day feel to this. Not modern, but vintage feel to this. Back
Yes,
when you
a
had some
nostalgic
back
when
when
you
you
would go
had to
through
hear
a
the
stack of 1,000 people. Very barstool sports of us.
yes, and you had to hear, your aim ding go off because somebody's messaging you. Yep.
Yeah.
We're
Oh,
bringing
yeah.
you back to then. So let's go back to the ADP and our first player in Superflex site and premium, by the way. Caleb Williams. He is a quarterback 10 with an ADP of 13 players around him in the same position. We got Kyler Murray at quarterback 9, just ahead of him. And Justin Herbert at quarterback 8. Right behind him is Jordan Love at quarterback 11. And then Trevor Lawrence is quarterback 12 at pick 22. So quite a ways behind him is Trevor Lawrence, who was the other can't miss prospect that is seems to be slipping down the well in value. But in this vision that you're seeing of Caleb Williams, what are you doing, Doug?
I think that's hot. I think Caleb, with his skill set, the way that the Bears have surrounded him with talent all around him, he could have, and I know the bar has been set high with Justin Herbert and CJ Stroud. He could have the best rookie season that he's set up to have the best rookie season we've ever seen. I don't know if he's going to get to the level of Herbert or Stroud, but I think it's in the realm of possibilities. So I think this is hot. And if he does that, he's going to shoot up the board at QB ADP. He's going to be a top 5 guy easily.
So
It's hot.
I had an epiphany the other day, and I said, I bet by next
Oh,
year,
Jesus.
I bet by next year or the year after, we are going to see Josh Allen, Pat Mahomes, and Hurts outside of the top 3, and the new top 3 will be Stroud, Richardson, and Caleb Williams.
It could happen.
I think Richardson will replace Hurts. I think Caleb will replace Allen, and Stroud will be the Pat Mahomes. Just age. Pat Mahomes getting 30. People are gonna be like, "Oh, he's only got 10
boring.
years left."
He's
only
still
got
good,
10
but he's
years
just
left.
boring.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
he wins the championship. Bored. I need something exciting. Yeah.
Yep. So I my guess is those 3 will be in, and I mean, we all say Lamar's always outside. I could see Jaden Daniels being the new age Lamar, where he's just always teetering, 6, 7, maybe 5.
Possible.
All right, let's go to our next rookie, and that is Marvin Harrison Jr. at pick 17. He's wide receiver 5 in Dynasty already. We're looking at a Zeke Elliott situation where it's just like, boom, instantly, you're up there. All right. Marvin Harrison at wide receiver 5 at pick 17. We got Amon-Ra St. Brown at pick 15, wide receiver 4. And below him, we got Puka Nacua, wide receiver 6 at pick 20. Marvin Harrison at 17. Hot or not?
Ooh. I'm going to go with hot. And I know that Puka had an amazing rookie year, but Harrison is just so. I mean, Puka did it without the talent on. A lot of people loved Puka, you and I included. We have a ton of Puka in Dynasty, which is great.
Yeah.
But he did it like low key. Like we thought he'd be good. We didn't think he'd be this good. And I don't think a lot of people did. Harrison should be a stud right away. Again, this is a guy that if he comes in and has a great rookie year, there's no reason he can't get 140 targets with Kyler Murray. There's
easy.
Not a lot of competition. They have McBride. Yes, they have Michael Wilson. They signed Zay Jones, whatever. It's going to be Marvin Harrison Jr. all day, every day. So he's set up for success. I would not be shocked after his rookie year, because we know how Dynasty works, that he is going to shoot up to the wide receiver 1 or 2 in Dynasty. And he only needs to have 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns, and 80 receptions, I think, in his rookie year for that to happen. And I think he can exceed all of those numbers. So if he comes out and has let's say a 1,400, 10, and 100, like he's the number 1 wide receiver in Dynasty. I know CeeDee Lamb, like he's probably going to have another great year, but everyone gravitates towards like, well, Marvin Harrison's only 21 or 22 years old. Well, CeeDee Lamb's 25 or 26 now. This is what happens. So if that happens his rookie year, Marv will be the number one wide receiver in Dynasty.
Yep. I think we're looking at an AJ Green, Julio Jones type thing. Like, we're taking you back this episode. Back then, it was like, hey, Julio Jones was the high upside. I think that's Malik Neighbors. Malik Neighbors is like the guy who's always going to have those like massive 200-yard games, and he's going to have a 40-yard game where it's like, okay, this sucks. But Neighbors is going to be that explosive. Like, this guy could do it if he had a quarterback, aka the Falcons, before they had Matt Ryan. Like, Matt Ryan had his ups and downs in his career, and I think we're looking at Marv as the AJ Green. Like, hey, he's got 13 to 1,500 yards, 10 to 14 touchdowns every year. He's consistent, and he's young. So I think that's what we're looking with Marv. And yeah, I mean, I think at wide receiver 5, we could be looking at Amon-Ra being a little lower. And I mean, if we go further, I think Jefferson, we're going to see a dip in him because with the contract talk,
he's already dipping in redraft leagues.
Yep, I think
Dynasty,
the contracts talk, like, it's getting real hot up here in Minnesota. It's like, you guys better get out your checkbook, otherwise Jefferson could actually be gone.
Yeah, Chase is already not participating in OTAs along with Higgins, so I think Chase wants to get the bag as well. It wouldn't surprise me if Jefferson and Chase are talking and they sign a deal like around the same time.
It was said that all receivers are waiting for Jefferson because they want to up him and they know he's going to get paid.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, let's go to the next rookie, and that is Jane Daniels at quarterback 14, pick 24. The quarterbacks around him: Dak Prescott, quarterback 13 at pick 23. And then we got Brock Purdy, quarterback 15 at pick 26. Jane Daniels, hot or not?
This is it. So I would take Jaden Daniels over Brock Purdy.
Okay.
I don't know that I would take Jaden Daniels over. I mean, Dak, we don't know his long-term future with Dallas.
Trevor Lawrence is right ahead of Dak, going back to our last one.
This one's tough for me because I'm not a huge Jaden Daniels guy. He's one of the rookies this year that I don't have anywhere.
I used to, and then I traded him.
You did. I'm going to go with not.
Okay.
I think if there's any of these quarterbacks, the first-round QBs, I would not be surprised if Daniels is the like surprise bust of the group.
Yep.
And I think in fantasy, he's got the insulation with rushing.
Yeah.
But I don't know. He's got more question. He takes a ton of sacks. Like, his sack rate is stupid high.
What people don't realize is when he's pressured and he feels it, he reverts kind of back to when he was with Arizona State, and he throws a lot of worm balls. That's what I noticed on his tape. It's like, like I said, I see all the shine and beautifulness of his rushing, but people are like, he's like Lamar. He's similar, but Lamar is so slippery when he's running. Like, he doesn't take big hits.
Never takes a big hit ever. Yeah. Like, I very, very rarely.
Yep. So yeah, Daniels to me is one of those, because 6 quarterbacks taken, we're looking at probably 3 of them. If 4 of them hit,
rate's 50%. So
yeah, if 4 of them hit, we're looking at a good year for quarterbacks. If 3 of them hit, that's a normal year. So yeah, I like you said, Jane Daniels, he's a better thrower than Lamar was coming out. So we'll see.
That is true.
For me, if I'm getting value, give me Purdy, like, because you're gonna get plus Daniels for Purdy plus. So I actually think Purdy right now is the time to buy, because once he signs a long-term deal, we're going to be like, oh God, he's a top 10 quarterback in Dynasty.
$50 million a year, yeah.
Yeah, he's a top 10 quarterback in Dynasty. But right now is the time to buy, because everybody still has that, oh, he's the last pick. We doubt him. Like, he was quarterback 6 last year.
He brought him to the Super Bowl. I mean, can he do it again? Yes, he can. He's fine.
Yep. And personally, I'd take Brock Purdy over Trevor Lawrence in Dynasty.
I could see that.
That might be a hot take, but yeah.
Well, again, Purdy plus over Lawrence, I would take that.
Yeah. Let's go to Malik Neighbors, who's the next rookie on the board. And he is at wide receiver 9, pick 28. Players around him with the same position, we got Garrett Wilson, wide receiver 8 at pick 25. And then we got Tyreek Hill at wide receiver 10 at pick 31. Tyreek Hill's not too fair, so I'm gonna go Chris Olave at wide receiver 11, pick 33. So Malik Neighbors, hot or not? Jahmyr Gibbs is right ahead of him for running back, and Sam Laporta, your guy, right behind him. So you taking like Laporta over Malik? It is tight end premium.
I would, yes. I like Malik Neighbors, the player. I even like the situation. I think this is very much like the AJ Brown, like, oh God, AJ Brown got picked by the Titans. What a bad fit. And then like he balled out. I think the same thing's gonna happen with Malik Neighbors. For me, I'll take the hot over Olave, but I wouldn't take him over Garrett Wilson. I think Garrett Wilson is an absolute stud.
Yeah.
I know what I have. It's like the bird in the hand with Garrett Wilson, and I think he's going to absolutely destroy this year with a healthy Aaron Rodgers. So he's going to ascend, I think, a bit. I would take Laporta over Neighbors. So for me, this is one like, what's the difference between hot or not? I guess I would probably go not, because there's at least 3 players in this range that I would take over Neighbors.
Yeah, and if you're going the style like, hey, you need a running back in this range, I think I'd take Gibbs over Neighbors too, because Gibbs in that offense, woof, like he's gonna kill it too.
Yep.
Yeah, so Garrett Wilson is one of those guys that I feel like is just gonna have a massive season. I'm coming around on
I got him in the
Olave.
league last year.
I'm coming around on Olave just due to the offensive change. Because
And
Olave,
he's
if
the
you don't
only
know,
really good receiver.
Olave, if you don't know, he's not a big frame guy. Like Garrett Wilson is so shifty coming off the line. Olave is smooth and he's got like this one step then go. For me, Olave, when they put him in motion this year, because they never did motion in the old Saints offense for like 12 years, Olave is going to get open quick and often now because he is still very fast. So I think
Yep.
Olave, we're going to see his true potential this year. All right, let's go down next. Doug, I already know your answer, so I should answer this one. JJ McCarthy at quarterback 19. He is picked 37. Quarterback 19 ain't bad.
No, that's not terrible.
So Jared Goff is just ahead of him at quarterback 18. I would rather have Goff ahead of him. And then Drake May is ahead of or behind him at quarterback 20. So we could do a twofer. So
Let's do a
Drake May, JJ McCarthy, players around him. I'll say players because we got DJ Moore right behind Drake May, Saquon. I think we're okay with taking May over them. But Drake London sandwich between them. JJ McCarthy, Drake London at pick 39, Drake May at pick 40, Brandon Ayuk at pick 36, Jared Goff at 35. So out of these two rookies, I'm not even going to ask you about JJ because I think I'm actually out on this ADP for JJ because I'd rather have May over JJ right now.
Same.
So
yeah.
So let's go Drake May, hot or not.
I think here's the thing with Drake May. I ended up rostering a lot of Drake, more than I thought I would, because his ADP fell to like 107, like 108, and I was like, wow, I didn't think he'd be available for me.
Just like Herbert.
and it fit my roster, so I was like, oh yeah, I'll take Drake May, and I'm okay if I have to wait. You know, the chatter here in New England is that, you know, Brissett's going to be the starter, and that eventually May will get his turn. You know, this team's not going to be. I mean, the defense is going to be good, the offense better, but I don't think they're going to like be in contention to win the AFC East or anything crazy. So for me, it's like by week 8 or 9, I think we'll start to see Drake May, and so far so good. Everything, the reports in camp, I really like Drake May. So for me, I'm gonna go with hot because the upside, like you said, a lot of people comp him to Justin Herbert. He doesn't have the arm talent's different, but I think Drake May is still very, very good. And the thing with JJ McCarthy, there's so many red flags with him that I know he got dropped in like the perfect offense for him, and hopefully like that helps him. But I'm just not a big fan of his game. Like, it's a lot of question marks if he can do what needs to be done as an NFL quarterback other than being a game manager. And for me, with Drake May, I know he can make a ton of those throws. With JJ, it's like they scheme up a receiver open. He doesn't go through his reads all that well. He can make some nice throws, but I'm going to go with Drake May as hot because I believe in him, even though it's going to take a little bit of patience, which in Dynasty you should have, but unfortunately a lot of people just don't.
Hey guys, guess what? Justin Herbert. We all thought we were going to have patience with him. We thought he was going to sit behind Taylor. Guess what?
Tyrod Taylor got hurt.
He stepped in week 2 and dominated from there on out. Drake, and guess what? Herbert had bad footwork coming out of college. Hey, guess what? All I've heard from Drake May is his footwork is phenomenal. Like, he looks completely different.
Mhm.
And this guy is a ultra competitor. That's all we heard throughout the process. Justin
Yeah.
Herbert lived with a bunch of brothers, ultra competitive, like literally lining up. And guess what? Herbert was a top quarterback coming out, and then we dropped him because we're hearing all these pre-draft rumors, and now all of a sudden, like we got Drake May. We thought he was going to be him and Caleb, and now he fell because Jane Daniels, this 1 year wonder comes in, and
And he
then
didn't have any talent
McCarthy.
around him in his junior year. Like that was
Dude,
part of the problem.
Drake May is still an elite talent, and I think we're overlooking him like big time. And we're
I
gonna
agree.
sit here, next year and just be like, we're idiots for not taking this guy top 3, like we all planned on doing a year ago.
Mm-hmm. I agree with
So
you 100%.
let's go to the next guy. That is Rome Odunze. And right behind him is Nico Collins at wide receiver 18. Rome is wide receiver 17. And this bird is just chirping my ear off behind me. So that's wonderful. If you guys can hear it, it's great. It's wonderful. Rome Odunze, wide receiver 17. Nico Collins, wide receiver 18. And then we got Jalen Waddle, wide receiver 16. Rome at wide receiver 17. What are you doing? Like, that's a perfect sandwich situation. Rome with
So I traded Jalen Waddle and got the 106 and took Rome Odunze. So I think we know what I'm going to say. I'm going to say it's hot because I think Odunze is a player that can do it all. Where Waddle has injury concerns. I know once Tyreek retires, Waddle will be the guy. Hopefully they are attached to Tua long term. But for me, I traded Jalen Waddle for the 106 to pick Odunze because I love Odunze's profile so much, and especially after the Bears took Caleb at 101 and then took Rome at the 109. Those two guys are locked together for at least 5 years. And for me, like year one for Rome may not be the greatest because of Keenan Allen and DJ Moore. But you know what? Maybe Keenan Allen, he's just a role player for them. And it is about Rome and DJ Moore. I think Rome is awesome. You know, you look at Matthew Harmon's reception perception on Rome, it's one of the only profiles I've seen. It's all green. That's an indicator that this dude can do anything you need him to. And I
yeah.
love the fact that he loves the game so much. He wants to get it right. He puts in the work. And I just love his attitude. And I think he's just bound to be super successful. So I'm going to say hot on Rome Odunze.
Okay. Yeah, and videos surfaced of the Bears draft room where they actually wanted the Giants to take Neighbors so they could go get Rome. They apparently had Rome as wide receiver 2 on their board. And after they were talking, they said, the only worries we have are the Giants. And then when the Giants reported Neighbors, it was like, boom. Like, because they were worried the Chargers were going to take him too. And Poles is like, nope, it's alt. And then they're like 6, it's Neighbors. And they celebrate the crap out of it. So when teams show you that, it shows a lot. Plus, Rome and Caleb have such a chemistry already. It's nuts.
That's gonna be a fun duo to watch.
Yeah, I think the hardest part with this is if you are contending. I think I take Nico now over Jalen and Rome if I'm contending.
Sure.
Like Pittman's right behind him too. So Nico or Pittman.
Yeah, who are very similar in my opinion. Yeah.
All right, let's get to the next rookie, Jalen Brooks, or Jonathan Brooks, who's his brother.
Brooks was here.
All right, running back
That's a Shawshank
10.
Redemption nod for those at home.
Running back 10, pick 59. Right behind him, Rachaad White. And then I will go ahead of him 2 picks, Dalton Kincaid. We'll go a different position. So we got Rachaad White, running back 11 at pick 60. Jonathan Brooks right ahead of him. And then Dalton Kincaid, 57. Hot or not on Brooks?
I mean, I'm hot on him over Rachaad White. I'm probably
100%.
not on Dalton Kincaid. I'd much rather have Kincaid and tight end premium if you know how I like to build my teams. Okay. But here's another case where Jonathan Brooks recovers from the ACL. They trade up to get him, cock block the Cowboys, like all teams do, because the Cowboys show their cards like fucking idiots. Like, oh, we need a tight end. Oh, Dallas Goedert, and Philadelphia's like, we're going to trade up and take Dallas Goedert. Idiots.
Makes you wonder how bad of a card player Jerry is. Like,
oh my God,
because he's been alive for 1,000 years. He was probably absolutely terrible.
He's literally just a corpse that flaps his gums, and he's so stupid.
Weekend at Bernie's.
I think Jonathan Brooks, if he has a solid rookie year. Let's say he rushes for 1,000 yards and 6 touchdowns, catches 40 balls, which I think is in the range
I
of
would say
outcomes.
700 yards because I don't think he'll start off hot. If he's like
We'll see.
708
I mean, let's
touchdowns,
say there's 18 games now or 17 games. It only
yeah,
takes 60 rushing yards a game to hit 1,000, Tyler.
that's true.
I mean, a
That-
1,000 yards isn't like it used to be. Like, it's not a
yeah,
lot.
that's very true.
So for me, if Brooks does that, he is going to vault into the top 5 dynasty running back conversation because, you have your Bijan, your Brees, and guys like that. But when you get to that 5, 6, it starts to
Etienne.
age a little bit. And I think that Brooks can jump right into that with a solid rookie year. So at taking him at RB10 now, I think that if you do that, it's a lot like Caleb, right? Like, you take him, he's quarterback 10, he could be quarterback 3 or 4 next year. So you're trying to find assets where, I mean, with Brooks, I mean, you're taking him in super flex leagues. I saw him go end to first in a lot of leagues, and I think that you're just going to get a lot of value out of that if he does hit. And I think because of the money that they put into the offensive line, having Canales there as the head coach, I think is going to be key for him. Look how they used Rashad White in that offense in Tampa. Could be a key indicator. Miles Sanders is probably dust. And Chuba Hubbard's just a guy, let's be honest. So for me, I think Brooks is hot there, but I wouldn't take him over Kincaid.
All right, yeah, let's look at running backs ahead of Devin Achane. He's ahead
I'm
of
not an
him
Achane guy.
at running back 9. Running back 8 is Etienne. Kyron Williams is ahead of Etienne. And then we got Saquon.
Right now he is.
We got Saquon. We got Jonathan Taylor. And then we got Jahmyr Gibbs at running back 4.
I think Taylor's the cutoff. Like,
I think by next year we could see him ahead of Taylor just due to age
I agree.
and hope, and like the hopium that will come with him. Yeah, I could see this being the low point. I did accidentally skip a rookie, and that is Brock Bowers.
You did.
Let's go to him right now. Brock Bowers. Or at tight end 3, pick 52. We got Trey McBride, tight end 2 at pick 45. Oof. And then we got Kincaid we got Mark Andrews at tight end 4, pick 53. Kincaid behind him, and Kyle Pitts behind him. Behind
Bowers
Kincaid.
is that high. Holy smokes.
Bowers is tight end 3 already in May ADP for DLF. So Bowers, hot or not at that point?
Well, this is tough for me because the last 2 auctions I had a need at tight end, and I won Brock Bowers in both leagues. So I'm in on Brock Bowers.
In rookie drafts, yes.
In rookie drafts. In one of those leagues, I paired him and Laporta. So I think dangerous AF.
I think easily ahead of Andrews.
Yes.
I'm taking Trey McBee ahead of him. That's fine with me.
That's fair.
I think the talk is Kincaid and Pitts. You're probably ahead of Pitts, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Kincaid is the question because Kincaid might be the focal point of this offense.
You know what? But so could Brock Bowers as early as I don't want to say this year, but
with
next
Aiden
year.
O'Connell, everything's looking up for Aiden O'Connell, AOC.
Yeah, that's a tough one. You know what? I'm going to lean on the talent. Brock Bowers is the best tight end prospect we've ever seen. So fuck it. I'm going to go hot and take Bowers over Kincaid and trust the talent.
And Bowers is still 3 years younger. Kincaid came in older. Yeah, I mean, you can flip a coin with those guys. I think either way. All right, let's go to the next rookie, and that is Xavier Worthy. Now, this one's going to be fun because we got some good players around him. Xavier Worthy, pick 62, wide receiver 23. Zay Flowers, just right ahead of him, pick wide receiver 22, pick 61. Or T. Higgins, wide receiver 24, pick 65, right behind him.
This is tough because this hot or not is tough because there's like in all of these cases, like I would probably take Zay Flowers over Worthy, but I wouldn't take Higgins over Worthy. Like, so it's a very polarizing situation to be in. I like Zay more just based on, he's the number 1 guy there, wide receiver anyway. And I liked Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers coming out of Boston College. I think he's perfect in that offense, and he's only going to get better with Lamar. Versus Higgins, like, I get it. We just don't know where he's going to be. Like, his future is uncertain. Like, he's going to get paid. He's going to be a wide receiver 1, but can he handle being the wide receiver 1? He gets injured. things like that. So I would rather take the upside of Worthy over Higgins, and hopefully the Chiefs finally hit on one of these wide receivers that they draft, because they missed on Hardman, they missed on Sky Moore, they've missed on some positional players. Now they hit on Rashee Rice last
And
year.
he
We'll see
hit
what his future.
everything else.
And he hit some people on the highway and walked away.
And a person in a
whatever.
bar, like
No charges though. No charges. It's fine.
yeah, just some slide money under the table.
Yeah. So for me, it's like pretty kind of hot. Like, what's the in between? Like, what's the hot or not? Is it like a?
Well, they always did a 1 to 10 range. By the way, never put your picture up. Never read the comments in a YouTube video. Never put your picture up on hot or not.
I would say a 7 in this situation, because I would take him over T. Higgins, but not over Zay Flowers.
Yeah, I think he's properly valued right now.
Yeah, I think
I'm the same way.
It's any tough decision like that means that they're properly valued. Usually.
Yeah, like Zay is my most traded for player this offseason, just because I love the situation, and everything I saw last year is like, hey, you're only getting 6 for 97. Okay, that's 16 points. I'm great with that as a wide receiver 2 or 3. All right, let's go to the next rookie. We are at 36 minutes, so we'll get rolling here. Bo Nix at quarterback 25, pick 67. Kirk Cousins is right ahead of him at quarterback 24, pick 66. And let's go behind him is Will Levis at quarterback 26, 75. So Will, pretty much last year's rookie around this range, Will Levis, Bo Nix, or Kirk Cousins.
You know, it's funny. I traded Will Levis in a dynasty league for Alvin Kamara and the 306, and I drafted Bo Nix at the 209, and I looked at Bo Nix as a replacement for Levis. So this is like perfect.
The question is Bo Nix or Kirk Cousins. That's the real Cousins.
I'm gonna lean again. Am I a win now, or am I building for the future? If I'm a win now, I guess I would. That's true. I mean, give me the younger quarterback. I know he's unproven, but I think Sean Payton has a pretty good history with quarterbacks. As much as he's kind of he's a little bit of a douche canoe, Sean Payton. But the reports have been really good with Bo Nix. I think that they'll build a system around him that he can be successful. Cousins would be tempting, but again, it's really 2 years on that deal. They drafted Penix 8th overall. He's coming off an Achilles injury. Like, there's a lot of question marks there. I know the talent around him is stacked. Give me Bo Nix. Hot.
All right. Yeah, I think I'm right there with you. Bo Nix for me as well. All right. Next rookie, Brian Thomas Jr., wide receiver 25, pick 71. Or we'll have to go T. Higgins ahead of him. We'll do that again. Pick 65. So about 6 picks. And Ladd McConkey. So we got a twofer again. Ladd McConkey, wide receiver 26, literally right behind him at pick 72. Or Jordan Addison, wide receiver 27, pick 74. So Jordan Addison, Ladd McConkey, Brian Thomas, and ahead of all of them is T. Higgins at wide receiver 24.
I'm going to take hot for Brian Thomas Jr. I know there's a lot of DK Metcalf comparisons for me. He ran pretty much 2 routes predominantly at LSU. He's a freak speed size guy. He's faster than DK was. He's obviously not as bulky. There's going to be targets for him with Calvin Ridley gone. So for me, I'm going to take Brian Thomas Jr.'s upside over T. Higgins. I know T. Higgins.
Royal Rumble style. George Pickens, his music's playing. Wide receiver 28 behind all of them at pick 76. At pick 76.
I'm still going to take Brian Thomas Jr. I think Pickens is a really good receiver, but I want to see him as the. Can he be a target hog in that offense? He does, and I like him as a player. But can he handle that target load with Deontay out of town? That's where I question it.
My real question is Arthur Smith is what is the target load?
5 a game, like hopefully. I don't know. Hopefully Pickens it's more than that.
I think Pickens can be a great player in this offense. It all depends on
how many times Najee Harris and Jalen Warren touch the ball.
Like I said, there's a chance. There's a non-0% chance that Arthur Smith is like, fuck everybody. I'm throwing the ball. Like, there's a good chance.
They want to paint me into a corner. They think who I am.
Arthur Smith is totally that type of attitude too.
I got tight ends. I got receivers. I'm going to use them too. He's all sassy now.
Sassy Arthur Smith.
Sassy Smith.
Let's see it.
Give me Brian Thomas Jr. though, seriously.
Okay, over Lad.
Yes.
Okay. I think if I'm
I
gonna
know you
actually
think the opposite.
if I'm gonna actually rank these guys, I think I'm going Pickens. I would then go Lad. I would then go Thomas. And it's literally between Higgins and Jordan
And
Addison.
then
That's how kind of far lower I am on
I'd rather
Higgins.
take T than Addison.
Yeah, I think Addison. People are kind of downgrading Addison. We loved him last year, and I get Cousins is out, but he's still a very, very good player.
I
All
agree.
right, let's go to the next rookie. We got two of them done right there. Michael Penix at quarterback 27, pick 82. Ahead of him, we're gonna go non-position here because we got really no quarterbacks in this range because they're all taken in Superflex Dynasty. So Penix or TJ Hawkinson ahead of him at pick 80, 81, or Jaden Reed behind him at pick 83, wide receiver 33.
Quarterbacks are king in Superflex, and if you take Michael Penix, you know that you might have to wait a couple of years. But guess what? In those couple of years, Bijan Robinson will still be there. They'll probably extend London. I don't know what they do at Pitts. So for me, I would go Penix because quarterback rules all in a Superflex league. You can find guys like Jaden Reed in your drafts. There's going to be someone that emerges. You know, maybe it's a Malachi Corley. Don't laugh, but the similarities can be there. So for me, it's Penix. I'm going to lean quarterback, especially a guy that got drafted in the top 10 in the NFL, who has a pathway to be a starter in a couple of years with what should be a very, very good offense. Even if they lose a Pitts to free agency, they can figure that out. There's enough tight ends in the league. I don't think they will too. So for me, I'm taking Penix. So I'm going hot here because he's a quarterback and that value seems really good. And I like Hawkinson too. And it is tight end premium, but again, it's quarterback. If you take Penix there, and let's say Cousins only lasts a year and then Penix balls out, he's going to go from quarterback 7 to a top 12 guy.
Easily.
And that's how you play Dynasty is you look at the value here and you say, if this hits, you can cash out and make a mint, or you can just roll with it and be like, you know what? Now I have a QB1 where I drafted him as my QB3 or 4.
Yep. So for me, like, I'm taking Penix. The thing that is crazy to me is Hawkinson went from tight end 1 right before his injury, now tight end 8. Like tight end 8.
People are over analyzing like, oh, he tore his ACL, like he's dead.
But then yet when a running back does it, we're like, you know what? Let's give him another
Jonathan
year
Brooks,
or two.
he's a first-round rookie pick. Like,
yeah,
it's wild to me. I had someone recently offer me a deal in that auction league, and they offered me a number that was quite low. And I was like,
it's
he
a good
tore his
thing
ACL.
it's a good thing you're friends with him type deal. Like, hey.
Yeah, I was like, he's like, was that insulting? I'm like, like not terribly. And I was being nice, but and then he came back and he's like, that was insulting. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Hawkinson will be just fine. He just got paid last year too as a top tier tight end. He's not going anywhere. And hey, JJ McCarthy is very good in the middle of the field. And if there's one spot I think he can succeed, it is to Hawkinson and Aaron Jones. Like that is my complete thought. I think Hawkinson could actually have a better season consistent wise with targets than last year with Cousins. And that might not be good for Justin Jefferson because he'll get all salty.
It's true.
All right. Let's go to the next two rookies. We're going to bundle them up. Trey Benson, running back 17. Keon Coleman, wide receiver 38. They are back-to-back, 89 and 90. Keon Coleman, all right, ahead of him, running back DeAndre Swift, running back 16 at pick 88. Amari Cooper, wide receiver 37, pick 87, wide receiver 37. And behind the two of them is Terry McLaurin, wide receiver 39, pick 91, and Alvin Kamara at running back 18, pick 92. And also, I'm going to add Rashee Rice, wide receiver 40, pick 93. So Keon Coleman, Trey Benson. Yeah, these are a lot of old players. You got Diggs ahead of him, Mike Evans, Deontay Johnson's ahead of him.
And I'm not a Keon Coleman guy, but around these, if I'm doing a startup, I did a startup a few years ago, and I literally picked year 1 and 2 players like throughout, and it worked out really, really well. So I would probably have a similar strategy where if I'm at the board and I'm looking at DeAndre Swift, Terry McLaurin, Alvin Kamara, or Keon Coleman, I'm going to take the unknown and hope that he hits. He's a first-round pick. He's with Josh Allen. I'm a Florida State guy. These are both Florida State guys, but I'm not blinded by the fact that he's a Seminole. I'm not huge into Keon Coleman, but at this price, I would be in on him. So I'm going to say hot. And the same thing with Trey Benson. James Conner, not the most healthiest guy. He does get injured. That Arizona offense should be much better. Trey Benson is another one of those guys that he could be RB17 now and could be a top 10 running back next year if everything breaks right.
I think we're getting to the point where we're going to choose the rookies as hot for sure. So going to our next rookies, Ricky Pearsall, wide receiver 47, pick 111. And I'll group them in. Adonai Mitchell, wide receiver 48, pick 114. Around them, we got Russ, Jalen Warren behind both of them. George Kittle ahead of A.D. Mitchell and Evan Ingram ahead of A.D. Mitchell. Ricky Pearsall is ahead of all of those guys I mentioned. But David Montgomery, Tony Pollard, and Hollywood Brown ahead of Ricky Pearsall. What are you doing with those two rookies?
I'm surprised Mitchell's so high. Pearsall, I get it. He's a first-round pick. So in that one of the auctions that I talked about earlier, it was crazy to me that I was able to land Ricky Pearsall for $25 because there was receivers that got drafted after him in the NFL draft that went for twice as much money. So I think a lot of it is like, oh, where's his fit right now? Because again, we talk about dynasty and you got to have that long-term mindset where I think a lot of people are like, well, he's not going to contribute for me this year. That's what your taxi squad is for. So picture me this is that either Deebo Samuel or Brandon Ayuk gets traded and then Ricky Pearsall is a starting receiver for the San Francisco 49ers. I think he's going to be worth more than $25 instantly. And at this ADP, 100%. Now with AD Mitchell, it's a little bit different because, they've got Michael Pittman, they've got Josh Downs. Neither one of those, Pittman just re-signed, so he's going to be there for a while. So he's a clear third on the target tree right now, which I guess he'll play in his rookie season. So maybe that's what's elevating his ADP a little bit. And I know a lot of people liked him, but he did slip in the draft. He was wide receiver 11. Pearsall's a first round pick. Give me the draft capital. And I do love Pearsall's game and especially the offense. The Niners offense with Purdy, we still don't know what Anthony Richardson is. We all believe that his upside is tremendous, but we only saw a limited sample size. So for me, that's why Pearsall works better. I can paint a picture with Pearsall that he can contribute right away if they trade Ayuk or Deebo, and then they can just drop him in there and he's going to get targets where I don't think A.D. Mitchell, even being a starting receiver there, I don't think he's going to get a ton of targets with Anthony Richardson.
For me, it all depends on where A.D. Mitchell is on the pecking order. If he beats out Alec Pierce, I think Josh Downs is a slot guy.
But the thing is, if they use him like Alec Pierce, he's just going to run 9 routes all day long.
But I get that. But there's a big but. If A.D. Mitchell becomes the deep threat guy and Anthony Richardson with his arms, I think A.D. Mitchell's the only player on that team that they've had that can actually track the deep ball and get under it, especially for Andy.
Downs can track the deep ball pretty well.
Yeah, he's just small and he can't get off the line that well. For me, A.D. Mitchell's bigger, and if he can get off the line, which that is another question, for me is that's for me. If he gets 4 targets a game, I think I'm okay with A.D. Mitchell. I don't think, like you said, I don't think they're going to.
A.D. Mitchell is like the perfect best ball.
100%.
He's gonna have big weeks and he's gonna have dud weeks, and those are the kind of players that to roster those guys. I hate the guessing game. Hopefully they hit in a bye week when you need them. I always lean give me the consistent guy, and for me, out of these two, it's Pearsall. That's how I always go safe. Give me the consistent guy over the ceiling guy that could have 150 yards and 2 touchdowns, just because I don't know when it's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm right with you there. But for the other players around him, I think A.D. Mitchell is hot for me around the other veterans around him. If you need a quarterback, maybe Russ over everybody, because I think Russ will have a bounce back in this offense. I think he'll be more consistent. I mean, that guy threw 27 touchdowns last year?
He had a good year last year. I know people shit on him, but he was pretty good last year.
I think we're underrating him. All right, now the last bunch of rookies I'm going to go through because they're very bunched up. Because in a startup draft, this is where you're going to get the shots. So we've got Roman Wilson, wide receiver 53, 134. Marshawn Lloyd at running back 36 at pick 135. We got Jalen Wright, running back 38, pick 138. And then we got Jalen Polk, wide receiver 55, At pick 140, Blake Corum right behind him, running back 40, pick 141. And guys around him like Cole Kmet, Wicks, Rashid Shaheed. We've got Jerome Ford sandwiched between them, Jerry Jeudy, Austin Eckler. We got Josh Downs, Jameson Williams, who's looking on the up and up, and a fan and a DHH favorite, Dallas Goedert, ahead of all of them.
I will say the only guy that I'm in on, maybe two guys. I do like Josh Downs a lot in that range. And I love Dontavian Wicks in that range. Other than that, just give me the rookies, especially Jalen Wright. I still don't understand why the Jalen Wright love is not there. The writing's on the wall. Raheem Mostert's fucking old. He's 32 years old. Devin Achane is a fragile Fred.
And he gained weight, which is never a good thing for running backs.
That is never good. And Jalen Wright is already like a pretty decently sized guy, and he's fast as hell.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be surprised if Jalen Wright, he has a rookie year that people kind of like Devin Achane. Like they didn't see this coming. If Achane or Mostert goes down, Jalen Wright is going to have a nice year. And I just don't understand why there's a disconnect in the dynasty community and why he's going like late second or in auctions. I like snuck away like the Hamburglar with Jalen Wright in 2 auctions. Like I didn't.
You shouldn't have.
No, I shouldn't have.
I was gonna bid on him, but you know what? I was a friend. I was a friend.
Thank you.
We were playing Fortnite last night, and I told Doug, I said, "You're lucky I'm your friend because there's 100% chance I'm bidding on Jalen Wright if he wasn't."
You wanted the rest of the board to come out because you wanted to try to get value.
No, not at all.
In a world where Blake Corum and Marshawn Lloyd go for $80 and $85, I shouldn't be getting Jalen Wright for $55, and I got him for $30 in the other league. And same thing, Corum went for $50 to $60. I'm like, I don't understand why people don't like this kid. He's explosive, and in the NFL, everyone's looking for explosive players.
He's Mike McDaniel's wet dream for a running back.
He gave up a 3rd round pick next year for the 4th rounder to take him.
He is Raheem Mostert and Devin Achane mixed together. He is big, fast, and can take a workload if need be.
Yeah, 1-cut runs like Mostert. It's perfect.
He is built for this offense. He's if Raheem Mostert was 10 years younger.
He's my Jaden Reed this year, because in Jaden Reed, I said he's clear like number 2 pass catcher out the gate, starting slot receiver. He's going to contribute in his first year.
The worst part is Doug and I have been so in on Jalen Wright. It's so tough being in leagues with Doug because one of us are getting him, and I've had to trade up in multiple leagues to get ahead of Doug, or other leagues where it's like, in the auction last night, I thought to myself I should bid him up, but I had to. I'm too Minnesotan.
Too Minnesotan. Nice.
That's my bugaboo. But like for me, we look at all these guys. Like Xavier Legette
ADP right now.
Xavier Legette is right behind AD Mitchell. I forgot to mention him. It's not too bad. But like we got guys like Zach Charbonnet just ahead of Roman Wilson. I like Charbonnet a lot.
Charbonnet's a big buy. Yeah.
But who's are you looking for? Ben Sinnott. He's tight end 16, pick 151. He's like hot. Gus Edwards is right ahead of him.
Hot, smoking hot.
Jermaine Burton's right behind him.
Oh, smoking hot Ben Sinnott and Jermaine Burton for sure.
Kendre Miller at pick 153. I think he is a definite buy as well.
Yeah, there's been a lot of chatter about him recently.
Yep, Marvin Mims, Jahan Dotson are so low. I think those guys are been buys. Malachi Corley at pick 167, wide receiver 66. Troy Franklin, wide receiver 67. As much as I do not like him, I think he is so undervalued.
At that price?
Yeah. Oh, I hate it that I like the price. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of good value in startups, and it makes me want to start one, but nope, I am capped, and I got to remind myself
TooManyLeagues.com. Yeah. 100%.
Yes. And that's it. Like we're back back in those areas is like when you're just smashing rookies, like 3rd round rookies over these old vets.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, if you're doing a startup, that's definitely the way to do it. And I think the thing is a lot of people are going to have the same mentality. So if you do get some vets, you'll probably be able to get them at a discount. If you're like, oh, you know what? I got a lot of young guys I can win now. Like I'll take an Alvin Kamara, a little bit later than he should have gone because you might only need him for a year or two, that kind of thing. So yeah, it's a fun. Startups are fun. Especially when you're not necessarily locked into any one strategy and just kind of go best player available, or you're just like, you know what, I'm just going to take rookies and second year guys and see what happens. And sometimes it works. So, or you just punt quarterback totally. I finally got my second quarterback in that league 4 years later. Yay.
Yeah, you scoop up all the value on positional players and avoid quarterback.
Yeah, I mean there is something to be said about super flex with quarterbacks being overvalued. Is if you have a deep roster, you can make it work. I've yet to win that way, but I've gotten top 3 a couple times. It is tough. But well, that is going to do it for us this week. Make sure you check out Underdog again. Use code DHH to get that up to $100 matched. Leave a like and subscribe on YouTube if you could. That would be awesome. And if you go onto Apple iTunes, give us a review, a rating. That'll help bump us up in the old podcasts. I know we're not the most popular happy hour podcast out there now. Thanks, Matt, Mr. Barry. Yeah. But you know what? When people search happy hour, we come up. So I'm not complaining because I'm sure we get some runoff traffic from that. The 1 or 2 people a year that find us. So that's going to wrap us up for Hot or Not. And I'm going to say hot on Tyler and hot on myself. So leave a rating from 1 to 10 in the comments.
Don't. I was an idiot back when I was like 18 and I put my picture up on there and I was, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of dudes on that site, so.
Were you rating the dudes too, or just the chicks?
Just the ladies.
Okay. I appreciate.
And of course, once again, I'm too Minnesotan, so I was like, 7, 8, 7, 9.
And they're like Boston 5s. You're like, she's a Minnesota 7.
Minnesota 10s.
The Minnesota 10s. Ooh, snow in her picture. 10.
Yes. Are those pine trees? Wow. All right.
Is she holding a bottle of pop?
Is that pop in a? Oh, there's a hot dish. That's a 10.
Can I crank this thing to 11? Is it even possible? All right, that's going to do it for us. Thank you for joining us on the Dynasty Happy Hour. We will see you next week.